Hi. Now, welcome back. We're going to be talking through another success story. Now, this person is a friend of mine, and he's going to be talking about the journey that he went through from going from really not liking his law firm to actually loving his law firm. So, Jordan, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Jordan, before we jump into the details of your story, can you tell people a little bit about kind of your background? Like, how'd you come into actually owning a law firm or starting a law firm?
Yeah. I wish I could tell you there was some really great thought process, but ultimately I was a state attorney. I found out I did not want the next promotion that was offered to me or would have been in the future. And I was like, I'm gonna go open up my own firm and see how it happens. And then, what are we, 9 years later? I really enjoy my firm and I'm super happy that I took that jump.
Awesome. I love it. So I want to talk a little bit about, your story on going from, having a law firm to like many people, not everybody loves the law firm that they created. Some people I've heard even hate the law firm that they created. So how did you kind of go from, where you were to really actually liking and loving the law firm that you created?
Yeah, I think it all boils down to being selfish. And I say that in a very specific way. So like let's flash back to my child was born on March 2nd of 2018. So like somewhere in the middle of 2017, my wife told me that she was pregnant. We had been struggling to have a kid for a year, probably from the stress of law firm ownership and not knowing what we were doing and whatnot. And so like thankfully I was immediately happy. Oh, thank God, like she's pregnant. And then about 5 seconds later, it was just like, how are we gonna do this? We're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. We're working 80 hours a week. We're just miserable. And now, like, someone's going to hand us a baby on top of this. And so, what really happened was truly like being selfish. I started getting selfish about what I wanted out of my life to then figure out what I needed from my firm to be there. And really went through that process and ultimately ended up on the other side of it with a firm that we love and a great kid who is 6.5 now. And it was just so much better, all from that being very specific and selfish about what we truly wanted.
Now, I guess when it came down to that, you usually don't hear people give that advice. So, what was it like kind of going through that emotional part of that process of coming to be, it's okay for me to be a little bit more selfish about this? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. My all-time favorite quote that is attributed to Albert Einstein, but he didn't say it, is insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So, like, as much as I was trying to take everything that came in the door and respond to every email in 5 minutes and go to every networking event and whatever, like, I was miserable. So I had to figure out what to do differently, which really came back to what could I say no to and what could I stop doing, which then really made me get into like, how can I be more selfish? How can I do the things that I put myself first, do the things that I need to do that make sense to the kind of client we want to work with, to turn down the kind of work that we don't want to do that sounds good when they first sign up, but stinks when I'm spending 20 extra hours of research because it's not my area of law. Like how do you get more focused? And for me, it was that like putting myself and my family first.
Nice. I love it. So, you've talked a little bit about giving us a hint of some of the things that you did from, and if I'm hearing it correctly, like, turning down clients that, just weren't the right fit for you to work with. Any context on like how you started to like make that decision or come to that conclusion of, hey, you know what, this is probably the money would be great, but this is not the right one to work with. Any details on like how you started to approach that?
Yeah. So for me, family law. And like I say, so here's the thing, everybody will give you advice, but you really have to figure out what advice makes sense for you. So when I say we stop doing family law, that doesn't mean I have any issue with other attorneys that do family law. But like I was a state attorney, my wife was a public defender. And so when we opened the firm, we did criminal defense and then tried to learn family law. It always sounded good at the time, but ultimately, like it took us so much more research to get on top of it. And so, like, our thing was cutting out family law. That doesn't mean that your thing would be the same. For you, it may be focusing 100% on family law, but like it was something that we didn't love as much. We weren't as knowledgeable about, and like we were able to make the money work by focusing more on what we did know that we could do a better job in a faster time frame instead of like also learning this other area of law. And then from there, I actually then transitioned to just not doing legal work anymore. So now I could stop going to every conference and every CLE, and or I guess I have to get CLEs, but like focus on that and start going to all of like the lawyer business owner conferences and reading business books and focused on that because I wasn't worried about case law. So like we had to take small steps to give us enough breathing room to take the big steps of that plan of what do I actually want out of my firm? What do I actually want to do on a day-to-day basis? And that was our transition, was practice area specific, and then my work changing and her work changing, but her focusing on more doing the legal work and doing less of the administrative business stuff.
Now, I guess did it ever cross your mind you're a lawyer, but as you said, you're not doing much legal work. Like, was it ever a struggle to kind of make that transition to like, I know I'm a lawyer, but that doesn't mean I have to be the one doing the legal work?
Oh, totally. And ultimately, I think the like you have to have that internal belief first. So instead of me calling myself a lawyer, I had to start calling myself a small business owner. I had to start calling myself a law firm CEO. I had, like I had to change that lingo to myself. And it sounds so like woo-woo bogus, but by doing that, it made it so much easier to not do the legal work on the day-to-day basis. And ultimately, I think if you like it's what is it, Michael Gerber's E-Myth, right? Like if you want to bake pies, you don't open a pie shop. If you want to be a lawyer, don't open a law firm. Go work at a firm that allows you to maximize the time that you spend being the actual lawyer because somebody else is taking care of marketing and somebody else is taking care of sales and somebody else is taking care of billing and somebody else is taking care of the business decisions. Like make sure you have that support structure in place that allows you to be an attorney because otherwise like I can't tell you how many trials I won and then didn't get paid the rest of the fee, because I was more concerned on that part and hopefully the client was too. And then, like I can't keep a firm open on successful verdicts that aren't paid.
I think there are a lot of firms that are starting to realize kind of that point of what you're talking about is like, do you want to be the lawyer or do you want to run the business or, do you need some help to fill in the gap? And I think just coming to that conclusion. So that's pretty awesome. So if I'm kind of summarizing, where you started from, probably it sounds like most lawyers is you took your legal experience, you started a law firm, and somewhere along the way you started learning what you did and didn't want and really focusing on as you said being selfish about what did you want and then designing the firm around that. So if you were to describe like how you operate within your firm, what your firm looks like today, now that you love it, how would you define what it looks like today?
So now I work 3 days a week. And honestly, probably most of it's not even on my firm. But I run a meeting, I do our employee evals, I do our team building activities, and then I market. And by market, I mean like I go play golf and eat lunch with my friends and call that networking. So, and then I coach other lawyers on how to do the same thing because like ultimately we are all like every business is a puzzle. The problem with that or the benefit of that is like you need to figure out which piece you are. If you want to be the CEO piece, great, then you build the other pieces around you to cover the puzzle. If you want to be the lawyer piece, then you build the other pieces around it. Like we get so stuck up on this thing of like, oh, the law firm owner next door, tries cases and generates business and does this and does that. So like I need to do all those things too, instead of sitting down and really being like, look, I want to do great work. We have 150, 60 something review 5-star reviews on Google. We've got a ton of referrals from clients. Like that should be table stakes. Doing a good job should be table stakes of what you want out of your business. But then like figure out where you fit in that picture, which puzzle piece you are in that picture of a law firm that does a great job for clients on a certain type or certain types of cases. And then like get yourself in there first and find the other pieces because they're out there. It amazes me the amount of talent that I have found come work for me because we built the position that they wanted that fit with their strengths. And then they did better. They showed up better. They helped more clients instead of forcing them to be the wrong piece. It's wild to me that we spend, 40 hours a week being miserable because we're not at a good fit of the actual job that we're doing. Or as the law firm owner, maybe it's 80 hours a week of doing the job that you actually hate doing. So I'm open to that part too. Like, so be selfish, man. Like, put yourself first and then find the right support that you need to get everything done the right way for clients.
Awesome. Now, I know that there is much more context around your story, much more detail. So, if people wanted to hear a little bit more about your story, some of the things that you're doing now, and more of those lessons that you learned throughout your journey to go from just being a probably typical lawyer who started a firm to now having a law firm you actually love, where should people go to learn more about your story, find out more about you?
Sure. I mean, so you got a couple of different options. In terms of loving your law firm, like literally, I wrote the book on it. You could go to Amazon and type in "Love Your Law Firm" and find the book. Or I've got jordanostroff.com, Ostroff. You can find more about me, or on any social panel, any social platform, either Jordan Ostroff or Lawyer with a Life. I try to put as much helpful information out there as possible, or the book's, I think, $8 on a Kindle. And yeah, I mean, I like helping. I've seen I've seen what this industry can do on the highs and the lows. So like, let's help more people hit the highs and be happy and show up well for clients and actually move the needle on things while having a life.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks to everyone for listening. Now, if you like what you heard and you're encouraged and inspired, definitely check out Jordan's page and all of his information that he puts out there, and share this with a friend, because listening to at least one success story a day could be the difference between someone making progress towards their goal or someone just feeling lonely, frustrated, and dealing with the tough issues alone. So, thanks for listening.